All right, welcome to week 15. I'm still homebound, recovering from hip replacement surgery, um, off the opioids, so feeling a little bit shaky, but doing a little bit better, moving around better. This week we are entering the 15th week of the semester. We're dealing with chapter 14, I believe, which is domestic policy. And domestic policy, of course, is a very broad subject. These last two chapters really deal with sort of the everything of American government. Domestic policies, again, everything that's happening, everything that's happening at the federal level that deals with domestic policy, economic policy, social welfare policy, education policy. These are all really important, policy issues. And of course, when you think in terms of economic policy, a lot of Americans have this sense that, oh, well, there's really not that much going on that the government deals with. We just let the economy go, and the less the government has to do with it, the better. In fact, government is enormously instrumental in the functionings of the government. The government, sets the policy. The government, determines how much money there is in the economy. The government determines, taxation rates and things like that. And these are all very important issues. And likewise with social welfare policy. Um, we have one of course, we have a very large welfare state. But when you think of it in terms, again, when you compare it to other countries, again, we're the third largest population in the world. And so, in practical terms, we don't do a lot to help people out. And I think that's something we need to always be thinking about because the more the more people slip from childhood into adulthood without the skills that they need in order to be productive citizens, the less productive our economy is. And that was something that we used to understand, pretty well. When your grandparents, were, well, back in the 60s and 70s, most of the states committed, large amounts of money to higher education. The presumption being that the more you invest in people, the more productive they're likely to be over the course of their lives. I still think that's true. I think that there's a lot of competition for higher education that doesn't bear that out. I think a lot of the for-profit institutions of higher education, like Phoenix University, are not really, uh, you know, helping people get ahead. For everyone that gets a degree from one of those places that actually helps them, there's a bunch of others that they're just taking their money and leaving them with debt. So in any event, this week um, we're looking for you to be able to describe how the government uses fiscal, monetary, and regulatory policies to influence the economy and generally, again, of course, in a positive direction. To be able to explain the key debates in economic policy making, to trace the history of government programs designed to promote economic security, to describe how education, health, housing policies try to advance equality of opportunity, and to explain how contributory, non-contributory, and tax expenditure programs benefit different groups of Americans. Again, this week we only have the forum and the quiz as assignments. But it's important to keep in mind that right now, you're heading into the last week of the semester. You've got the final that's due. Week 16 is basically 2 weeks that goes from the 28th to December 8th. And so your final is due by December 8th. Your paper is due, I believe, by like I can't even remember what the date right now is, but it's the end of week 16, which is the beginning of finals weeks. And then, of course, you've got a forum and a quiz as well. So let's make sure we're staying on top of things and get all our work done and finish strong. Have a great week 15.